Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new Warhammer 40k Combat Patrol video. As per usual, if you like this content, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and of course, drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys. It goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. So, without further ado, Warhammer 40k Combat Patrol magazine, obviously the newest Partworks magazine set within the Warhammer 40,000 universe from Hatship Partworks. It's been on sale for the last 11 weeks here in the UK. We're on issue 10, going on to issue 11 this week. And it's pretty good. It's 90 issue run with 9 different combat patrols plus a little bit extra for each one of them throughout the run, and paints, brushes and all that type of stuff, and obviously essentially the rule book in a roundabout way. It's pretty decent, it's a pretty good magazine. Now obviously these Partworks magazines have been very popular in the past, so you go back all the way to Warhammer 40k Conquest magazine, which was the first one that really kicked it all off. That did very well, giving us Space Marines and Death Guard, which was pretty damn cool. Then they moved into the Age of Sigmar, and they gave us Mortal Realms magazine, bringing us Stormcast Eternals up against the Nighthaunt of Nagash, and it was really cool. That's where I got started with it, and I really loved the magazine. I thought it was super cool. We've got loads of fiction, paint, loads and loads of minis, really good stuff. Then we went back into Warhammer 40k with Warhammer 40k Imperium magazine, where we got Space Marines, we got Necrons, we got Adeptus Sororitas, we got some good old Adeptus Mechanicus as well, and that run got extended from 80 issues to 90, where we got some awesome really cool bits like the Paragon Warsuits, an Inquisitor, and a couple of other bits and pieces, which was super cool. And then we've moved on. We moved on to Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine, an 80 issue run. Again, they didn't extend this one, but this gave us the newer Stormcast Eternals, some Cadron Overlords, some Sylvaneth, we got Cruel Boys from the Auric range, we got some Gloomspite Gits, and we got some Iron Jaws as well. Really cool, really enjoyable. And now we've moved into Combat Patrol, which is the 90 issue run, where we're going to get really good minis and loads of paints out of it. Now, we already know what's coming out all the way up to issue 20, and in this video we're going to go through the now leaked all the way up to issue 90, although some issues are still a little bit hazy and hasn't been updated yet. Now, this leak has actually come from a Spanish website, which is Goblin Trader. Now, these guys have apparently leaked before with previous magazines, and they have been pretty much 100% accurate each time. There always is a chance for there to be a slight variation on certain things over time, but we will wait and see. But otherwise, I think we can count this list as being fairly accurate, because they were the last couple of times. So, without further ado, we're going to recap between issues 11 down to 20. Right then, so starting off with issue number 11. Obviously, we already know this is a paint issue. We get Lead Belcher and we get Corax White. Both very decent paints and very versatile. You're going to use them for quite a lot of stuff, especially the Lead Belcher. That's going to be used on majority of barrels of guns and other metal items and such like that over time. It's a decent one. Corax White, you're going to use it here, there and everywhere, and a little bit of places in between. So you'll use it on the Eldari when we get them. You're going to be using it on cloaks. You're going to use it in a few extra little places. So it's going to be worth having because it's a fairly decent, versatile paint. But with both paints, as I've said in the individual magazine issues and videos earlier this week and even last week, shake them as hard as possible. Not going to lie to you, they will separate. They're a pain in the ass. They are the type of paints that separate very easily as well, so you need to shake them very well, trying to keep them sealed up as much as possible when you're not using them. Then, we already know this as well, so issue 12 and issue 13 is our 5 Space Marine Terminators. These are the pretty cool ones. Obviously they're Terminators, they're a bit chunky, they're a little bit bulky, and they're pretty decent. I do quite like the Space Marine Terminators, although I'm not a Space Marine fan. These guys are pretty cool. So, really good stuff. So you may want to get extras if you're a Space Marine fan. However, there's not a super huge save in here across the 2 issues, so it's a little bit of a, yeah, not the best saving, should we say that. Issue 14, we go back to paints. We already know this as well, so we get Rakkar Flesh and we get Screamer Pink. Pretty decent paints. You're going to use a little bit of both over time. I must admit, I don't use Rakkar Flesh very often. Screamer Pink, not too bad though. I do use it quite regularly, so it's pretty decent. But it's another paint issue, so it's nothing super massive to write home about. Then, moving on, issue 15, we go back to our Tyranids. So we get the Tyranid Psychophage, which is a cool mini. I really love this guy. I think it's really cool. Obviously, it is one that you got with starter sets, so it's not anything super spectacular or fantastic, and it's not really, it's a saving, but it's not a super huge saving, so it's not too bad. But yeah, could be better, but it's not bad at all really. Then issue 16, we're going back to paint. We already know the paints we get as well. We get Mephiston Red, which is a really good, vibrant, bright red, which you can use on things like the eyes for the Space Marine helmets, even painting up things like the Space Marine Sergeant helmet, which is normally red as well, and you're going to use it in a few extra places here, there and everywhere, and you're going to use it on other minis later on, probably, especially if you're following the paint guide from the magazine. We also get Squig Orange, which is a very good edge highlighting paint. So, pretty good stuff there. It's not too bad. It's obviously, again, it's a paint issue. They could be better, but could also be far worse, in all honesty. Issues 17 and 18, we go back to Tyranids and we get 10 more of the Termagants and a couple more of the, one more of the Ripper Swarms. Obviously, we've already had these guys. These are the monopose ones. They are the ones that only have the single weapon. So, if I've used the wrong image, I've used the wrong image. Don't fret about it. Obviously, they're just Termagants. They're there to be squished, really. Issue number 19, though, in all honesty, is a super cool mini. It is the Tyranid Parasite of Mortrex mini. I really like this mini. This is a superb mini. For 10 quid, you are saving an absolute fortune on it as well. It's a really good one for just 10 quid. So, if you're going to go for Tyranids, do not miss out on this issue because it is a really good value one. And then finally, issue 20. Issue 20 is our Space Marine Chaplain on bike. Now, obviously, it's a Space Marine. It's a Chaplain on bike. This is saving you money again, so it's still a very good saving. And obviously this Space Marine Chaplain looks very different. Obviously they're designed to have black armour instead of the blue armour that the Ultramarines would have. And they're pretty cool. It's a pretty cool mini, a very nice sculpt. And yeah, another one where I am actually looking forward to it, even though it's a Space Marine, which is surprising, to say the least. But that's the first 20 issues done. So, what about the ones after? So, moving on to issue 21, we move into Eldari territory. So, the Eldari, formerly known as the Eldar, are of course your kind of, what's the best way to describe them? Space elves is probably the best way to describe them. And you get some pretty cool ones. They look sleek, they look a little bit kind of sleek and almost Gundam-esque in a lot of their ways, and certain things about them do as well. And yeah, they're pretty cool. So, to kick us off, issue 21, we get the Eldari Farseer mini, which is a really nice mini. I do quite like it. Very different, very unique, and yeah, pretty good. I will be looking forward to painting this guy up because I've never done it. Obviously, with the Eldari though, I must admit, I'm going to want to get some very nice smooth painting, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. Issue 22, we get more paint. So, over the course of the magazine, the later we get into the run, the less paint issues we're going to see, in all honesty. And, yeah, we're going to need paints here, there and everywhere, because there will be paints that we don't use on some minis, but we will be using them on others. So, it's going to be a bit here, there and everywhere for them. So, Don't know what colours paints we're going to get. I guess we're going to tie in very heavily with the Eldari range, so we will just have to wait and see. Otherwise though, issues 23 and 24 are our Eldari Guardian Defenders. Obviously these can also be built into a separate build as well if you wanted to, entirely up to you. If you want to expand your Eldari range, you can obviously buy multiple of these because these are your generic warriors for the Eldaris. However, the saving's not super huge, so maybe you might not want to, but it is entirely up to you if you want to go about doing it. After that though, issue 25, we go back to paint. So another 2 pots of paint. Again, don't know what paints yet, so we will have to wait and see. And yeah, it could be good, could be crap, who knows. After that though, issue 26, we get the super cool Wraithlord mini. This is one I must admit I am looking forward to it. It's really good, it's really cool, bigger as well, which is always really good. And the saving on this mini is really quite high, so it's definitely worth putting the money down for just to get this issue. Even if you just want something different to paint, 10 quid for a Wraithlord is good value. So really good value for money there. Then we move on. So something slightly different. Issues 27, 28 and 29 are all kind of essentially parts 1, 2 and 3 of the same set. And that is the Eldari Wind Riders. You get 2 per issue. It would work out 2 because we're going to get 6 in total. Yeah, they're pretty good. They're kind of like speed bikes from Star Wars. Very different, very sleek, very kind of unique to the Eldari. So very worthwhile having, and they look pretty cool at the same time. Then finally, to round us off for that 10 issues, issue number 30 is another paint issue. Not really super huge amounts to look forward to, but paint issues are worth the time and the effort because you get the paints. It just doesn't feel great because you're not getting minis out of it. It is what it is though. Issue 30 though, we're going to move into the territory of chaos. So, the warriors from the warp, the Chaos Space Marines, are going to head towards us for Traitor Legions, and yeah, all hell breaks loose. So, to kick us off, we get a Dark Apostle. I must admit, I already have one of these in its box. I've had it for ages. I might one day get around to painting either one of them, whether it's the one I've already got or the one from the magazine. Super cool looking unit. It's a Psyker. It's pretty decent as well, and that is to work as kind of our warlord, our general for our Chaos Space Marine army. Then moving on, issue 32, we get paints. Again, no idea what paints we're going to get, but we get paints, and I'm going to guess they're going to be paints that are going to tie in pretty well with the Chaos Space Marines, so could be worth it. So I'm guessing something grey probably. Moving on now, talking of Chaos Space Marines, issues 33 and 34, we get the Chaos Space Marines. They're pretty decent units, I do quite like them. Apparently this is going to be more of the older Combat Patrol box and not the new current Combat Patrol box, but we get Chaos Space Marines, which is pretty good stuff. Issues 35 and 36, we get more of the Space Marines, but we get the other variety, which is the Havocs, which are a little bit more deadly and look a little bit different as well. They have some pretty cool weaponry, and yeah, they look good. Issue 37 and 38 is the super cool looking Hellbrute. Now, I do quite like the Hellbrute. It looks pretty cool. It looks like a dreadnought that's mutated, gone very wrong, and yeah, slightly creepy and slightly evil at exactly the same time. Really good stuff. Then, in issue 39, to kind of completely swerve a different direction, we go back to Eldari. So, we get the Eldari Wraithguard minis. Now, this is obviously our bonus minis for this range, so we do get extra, so we're going to get the Eldari Wraithguard, which are really cool. I do really like the look of them, and yeah, should be really good fun. And then going back to Chaos, good old Space Marines, we get the Chaos Terminators, which obviously they're Terminators, but obviously they're Chaosified, and they look pretty good. at the same time. So it's going to be a pretty decent issue, and what a good little run of magazines that is. Issues 20 all the way down to 40 is pretty damn good. Moving on from there though, we get something a little bit more destructive. We're going to get some orcs from issues 41 onwards. So issue 41 gives us our first taste with the War Boss in Mega Armor Mini. Super cool, obviously a really good unit, and the orcs of the 41st millennium are absolutely bonkers and have some really unique lore behind them, which I'm not going to go into at the moment, but it's a little bit out there and a little bit wacky, and they have some very cool special beliefs, like if it's painted red it goes faster, which generally works for them. So some cool bits there. Moving on, issue 42, I reckon this is going to be a little bit green, so we're going to get paint in this issue. So I expect, I don't know, Auric green for instance, and maybe another greenish hue, maybe, who knows, but really cool. Moving on from that, issue 43 is definitely Orc Boys, which obviously are going to be our main bulk of troops for the orcs, which will be really good stuff. Now, this is where the listing isn't very clear. There's no idea what's going to go on. They haven't actually updated it to say what's going on. So issues 44, 45 and 46 should be, from what has been kind of suspected, a mixture of Orc Boys and paints. But as I say, it's not actually listed, so we don't 100% know what order anything is going to be in, and what exactly we're going to get. So it's a case of waiting and seeing, and just hoping that they update or reveal sometime soon. After that though, issue 47 and 48 is the Orc Deathcopters. Now, I do really like the Deathcopters. They're one of the units alongside the Dwarven from good old Warhammer Fantasy, good old gyro bombers and gyros and everything like that you can get, that I've always wanted to build and paint. A little bit quirky, a little bit funny, and a little bit different, which is always my kind of cup of tea, in all honesty. Then issue 49 and 50, we get the Death Dread from the Orc range as well. Another unit that's pretty cool, pretty different, pretty wacky, a little bit out there, and should be really good fun to have in the army and painted up, and away you go. Moving on from that though, we go to the set that I must admit I'm really looking forward to, because I like this range. I have some, I haven't painted all of it as per usual with the vast majority of my minis, but we're going to move into the Leagues of Votann. So issue number 51 is a paint issue. No idea what paint. I imagine it's going to probably involve the colours for the most regular paint scheme that you'll see any of the Leagues of Votann in. So it's going to be very kind of turquoisey, so probably along them lines, but we'll wait and see. But we're going to get paint. Issue 52 is our first Leagues of Votann mini, which is for Carl, which also makes Utar, I can't remember what his name is now, but the main leader for the good old Leagues of Votann. Now, I've painted him without the helmet before, so I will paint him with the helmet this time round and change it up a little bit, because you can do with the vast majority of any of the Leagues of Votann minis. You can give them helmets, or you can give them no helmets. You can give them certain little aspects and little bits of trim and stuff like that to their armour that may or may not be necessary each time. So, it is what it is. Issues 53 and 54 are our first kind of double kind of hitter. We get the Halfkin Warriors, which obviously are more generic troops for the Leagues of Votann. They pack a bit of firepower, they have that full armour. I must admit, I will do all of them with helmets on, because it makes them look a little bit more uniform, and I don't want to be painting hundreds and hundreds of faces and trying to make them all look a little bit different, because it gets a little bit tedious. But I do quite like them guys, so it should be really good fun. Issues 55 and 56 are our Hernkin Pioneers, which are really cool. They're kind of like the vehicle-based good old space dwarves, which are pretty good. I do genuinely like them. I think I assembled one out of the 3 that I got from the Army starter set, but eventually I'll get around to doing the others, but it's super cool. Then we're going to get more double sets. So issues 57 and 58 is our Chthonian Berserkers. Now, I've never painted these guys before, but are one of the sets I must admit I've always really wanted, and they do look cool, so I am quite looking forward to getting my mitts on these ones, and it should be really good fun. And then issue 59 is our bonus Orc Mini. This is the super cool one that I must admit I'm really looking forward to. It is the Boomdacker Snazwagon. Super cool vehicle. Obviously it's part of the Cult of Speed for the good old Orc range. Really good stuff. Genuinely a lovely mini, and one that I definitely want to get painting on, which will be good fun. And then issue 60 is our bonus for the Leagues of Votan. It is the Einir Hearthguard. These are pretty cool. They're a bit tougher, they're a little bit bulkier, and they look pretty damn cool at exactly the same time. And obviously if you've got a premium set, you get the other bits and pieces, which is also really good stuff. Then moving on, issue number 61, we go to a different route altogether. We're going to go Genestealer Cults, which is another range that I must admit I'm looking forward to, so it should be good fun. So to kick us off with our Genestealer Cults, we get the Magos. Now, the Magos is a pretty cool Psycho unit. I must admit I do quite like it, quite good fun. I do like most of the Genestealer Cults in a lot of ways. They look a little bit more unique, a little bit fun, and a little bit different, which is sometimes exactly what you want. Now, issue number 62 will be paint, apparently. Still no idea what paint it's going to be, but I imagine it's going to tie in with the Genestealer Cults, because that's the way it seems to be planning. So it should be good. Issue 63, we get more of the beginning of our foot soldiers for the Genestealers. We're going to get the Acolyte Hybrids. I do quite like these guys. They're kind of looking a little bit different, a little bit weird, a little bit unique, which is exactly what you want in the long run. So, should be good. Then we move on to issues 64 and 65. This is our Neophyte Hybrids, and this is the first set of Neophyte Hybrids. So as you can imagine, there will be another one. Pretty cool. Obviously these are kind of more your fodder units, so they're designed to have plenty of them on the field, and we will wait and see how that kind of pan out. Then issue number 66, we're going to move on. We get the Aberrants on there, which are pretty cool. They look like they're very far more mutated of the rest of the Genestealer Cults. They have a very Tyrannid vibe to them as well, exactly the same time, which makes them look unique, it makes them look cool, it makes them look different, it makes them look a little bit more terrifying and like you wouldn't want to bump into one down a dark alley, which is exactly what you want in the grimdark future of the 41st millennium. And then issues 67 and 68, we get more of the Neophyte Hybrids. Again, they look cool, don't they? So they look pretty good. And then issues 69 and 71, I must admit, I am looking forward to with these issues. It's for Goliath Rock Grinder Truck, should I say. Really cool. Any of the vehicles in Warhammer 40k generally have a really good look to them, and the Genestealer Cults are some of the best looking minis that have vehicles in the entirety of Warhammer 40k. So this will be really good to get your hands on, have a bit of fun with it, and enjoy painting, which is the main thing. And then issue 71, we move over to the humans of the 41st millennium, the Astra Militarum, which will be really good fun. It kicks us off with the Cadian Command Squad. Now obviously this is 5 minis, if I remember rightly, and they're pretty good stuff. Obviously there's a lot to them, they're a little bit smaller than most average Warhammer 40k units, and obviously they are humans, so they're not going to be bright blue or anything like that, which is pretty cool. They are the militaristic side of the Imperium of Man, which will be good fun. Then Issue number 72, we're going to get more paint. So, obviously, there's still more paint to get. 2 more pots. Who knows what pots they'll be. But, you know, it'll keep us going. Which is what you want. Then, moving on, we get an absolute ruckload of minis. So, issues 73 and 74, parts 1 and 2 of our 20 Cadian Shock Troopers. This will be pretty good. Obviously, over the course of 2 weeks, this is a lot of minis to paint, especially if you're doing them by hand. If you are base coating with rattle cans, far easier, far superior, easier spread of paint. Genuinely something I would recommend when you're dealing with that many units in one go. Moving on from there though, issue 75 and 76 is for field ordnance batteries. Obviously, these are your heavy hitters for the good old Astra Militarum. That'll be really good fun to paint, in all honesty. And genuinely another unit I must admit I'm looking forward to. Should be good fun. Moving on from there though, we get more of our Astra Militarum. We're going to get the Heavy Weapons Squad with issue 77. So 3 pieces to this one, where you can go mortars, you can go las cannon and such like. Should be really good fun. Then we get our bonus mini for the Genestealer Cults with number issue 78. We're going to get the Genestealer Atalan Jackals, which are kind of like your motorbike and ATV riding kind of outriders for fast attack units for the Genestealer Cults. Also really cool. I do really like the motorbikes they're on. I think they look really good compared to some of the others. These are cool. And then issue 79 and 80 is our Armoured Sentinel. Now, I don't know why this one's spread across 2 issues from this listing. I think it could easily be put into one, but yeah, who am I to argue really? But it'll be really good fun. And then we have 10 more issues to look at. Now obviously you can already tell, so if you know roughly what your contents are, what factions you're going to get with the Combat Patrol magazine, you're aware that I have missed one faction out, and that is the World Eaters. And that's because they just come with the last 10 issues. Now, issue number 81 and 82, parts 1 and 2 of our Lord on Juggernaut for our World Eater range. It'll be pretty good. It's a pretty cool looking midi. Issues 83 and 84 are the Jackals for the World Eaters. Obviously, very different unit. They look pretty good at the same time, and obviously they're not a pure Space Marine or anything like that, and they look a little bit more along the humanic side of the kind of spectrum when it comes especially to anything from Out of the Warp. And then issues 85 and 86, we get 10 of our good old World Eater Berserkers. Then, though, in issues 87 and 88, we get another 10 of the Berserkers. Obviously, these are all designed to be a little bit more of a bulk unit, a bit more of a horde to kind of make the kind of bog down your enemies with. Should be pretty good, though. But then we only have 2 issues left, so to round us off, issue 89 and 90, we get the Forge Fiend, or if you want to make it into, you can make it into the Mauler Fiend, and that wraps up our 90 issues. There are some really good ones in there. There are some that make some really good savings, whether it's the Einir Hearthguard, whether it's the good old Atalan Jackals, whether it's for Forge Fiend, whether you're going to go for the good old any of the others, if you're going to go for things like the Wraith Lord or something like that, whether you're going to go for the Parasite of Mortrex. There are some that are very valuable issues for £10 per issue. Some of them are going to save you an absolute fortune if you wanted to get those issues the minis later on at some point anyway. The magazine could save you a fortune. So whether you're going to be collecting the entire range or just collecting the odd magazine here and there, you can get some really cool ones. So definitely worth having a shop around, definitely worth having a look at. And if you're going to pre-order them, obviously you can pre-order them through things like Forbidden Planet. However, Some of the stock can vary, and they will charge you now for postage for every single one. But if you don't want to order through there, talk to your local newsagent. They should be able to order you in issues, whether you're collecting the entire lot or not. Just ask them if they can order you certain ones. If they can, and you want extras of certain things, or if you're getting it from a local newsagent, you want extras of certain things, like I might want, for instance, extras of the Leaguers of Votan, I can ask the guys who run my local newsagents where I get it from, if they can order me extras of this issue, and this issue, and they will happily do it, because they know I'll buy it. So, is what it is, but food for thought. If you want the extras, they are available. You can do it. Now, that's a really, really good run of magazine. Obviously, we don't know what the future will hold in terms of other Partworks magazines, but this has already been very, very popular. So it should be good. So it should see us see something different. What that will be, who knows, but we'll wait and see. But otherwise, that is it from me. Thank you so much for dropping by, and hope you have a really good one. Bye bye now.